Welcome everyone to Giving Tuesday. Welcome all. Today is a global day of giving, and we are so happy that all of you are joining us today for BCC's Giving Tuesday. We are excited to host our second annual conversation about social justice at BCC, and we have an excellent panel here today for all of you to listen to and enjoy and get some really great information. We will definitely be starting shortly. We're just letting in a few more people. We have some more people that are coming in, so we'll give it another minute or so for everyone to join. In the meantime, I do want to let you guys know that we just ask that you all keep your mics muted. And I'll be managing that on my end as well to make sure that everyone is muted so that the panelists and moderator are able to speak and everyone is able to hear clearly. We'll give it a couple more seconds before we get started. We have a couple more people coming in. Welcome everyone to Giving Tuesday. We're super excited over here in the Office of Development and Alumni Relations to have Giving Tuesday. We've planned for a long time for this, so this is really exciting, especially this particular moment where we are having our second annual conversation about social justice at BCC. We have an incredible panel today that will be joining us, 4 dynamic people at BCC who will be sharing their story and their work. And we really have an incredible discussion, and we will be taking questions. I just want to let you know that we are just going to hold questions until the very end of the event so that we can have like a really thorough discussion and let the panelists speak on what they are discussing, and then we can take questions at the very end. All right, we are at 12:34. It seems like we have pretty much everyone who is in the waiting room has joined. So I will now turn it over to Angela Wambulu-Cobb, who is our Assistant Vice President of Development and Alumni Relations, and she will be moderating this panel.
Thank you, Dijon. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining Bronx Community College's second annual Giving Tuesday talk. As Dijon mentioned, this is the second year that we're having a conversation about social justice. This year, we're focused on our social justice efforts at BCC. Again, today is Giving Tuesday. For those who don't know, it's an international day of giving, and it's celebrated around the world. It was started in, I think, 2012 by the 92nd Street Y, and their whole goal was to call attention to charitable giving during the holidays. They felt that that was something that had been overlooked by newer traditions like Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and they wanted to get people to start going back to thinking about giving and supporting your neighbors at a time of the holiday season. So Giving Tuesday has since then quickly been adopted by a number of nonprofit organizations around the country, and most recently around the world as well. And so at BCC, we've been participating in Giving Tuesday since 2015. And we've been a part of the CUNY Tuesday campaign since around, I think it was 2016 as well. So each year on our campus, we usually come together live to raise money for our students. We have a full day of activities with students that are helping us, and as well as faculty and staff. but with our limited on-campus presence, this is the second year that we've been focusing our efforts to online activities. We usually come together to support student scholarships, emergency aid, the food pantry, transportation and housing assistance, books, equipment, childcare, all of the various needs that our students have. And this is our way as a community of coming together to support that. We have support from faculty, staff, even some students, but also a lot of our external supporters as well that have been really instrumental in helping us over the last few years. Last year with this talk, we had Mrs. Kadiatu Diallo, who is not only a friend of the college, but a donor through the Amadou Diallo Foundation. And the feedback that we had gotten and the support that we had gotten from that day really led us to having this as a new tradition of ours for Giving Tuesday. And we're happy this year to have the conversation about social justice at BCC, because we really wanted to share and highlight some of the work that BCC faculty and staff and students have been focused on over the last few years in support of social justice efforts. We've been doing that through trainings, workshops, and other special programs. So today, as we discuss those efforts with all of you, we're also going to be rolling out our new social justice fund, which is part of our overall Giving Tuesday efforts. But before we begin, we wanted to take a moment just to recognize one of our former students, Khalif Browder. So for those of you who know about Khalif, he was a BCC student who was, he had a very tragic encounter with the criminal justice system at the age of 16, and that forever changed his life. And in the end, it ultimately led him to take his own. But despite that, and prior to that, Khalif shared his story. And because he shared his story on a national level, it really led to some major changes in laws around the criminalization and incarceration of young people. And not only were laws changed in New York because of him, but also on a federal level. So his story very much initiated a lot of the work around social justice that BCC is doing today. And we'll talk about that in our panel discussion. But we wanted to start off our program by sharing Khalif's story through a rendering from one of our own students, BCC student Omar Lawrence, who is an amazing, not just student and poet, but he's an entrepreneur. He has a book of his work as well. And when we found out about his work, we wanted to make sure he was a part of our conversation today. So with that, I turn the program now over to Mr. Omar Lawrence with his poem, The Story of Khalif.
Hello, greetings everyone. Can you hear me clearly? I was out late one night, coming home from a house party, 16, just trying to have fun, when suddenly out of nowhere, the police snatched me off the street and tossed me into the back of a van. I sat in handcuffs at the station. The man who said I did it couldn't recognize my face in the lineup. He didn't even speak English. They still took his word for it and booked me. The worst day of my life was all in a day's work to the crooked cops. You're guilty until proven innocent in the eyes of the law. Sometimes you're still an N-word after all, even if the president is black. I've never been convicted though, so I'm not a criminal. I turned down that plea bargain on principle. I'm thinking it was a mistake. How was my mom supposed to post bail? Sitting in the cell sick, missing a home cooking behind bars alone in New York's most violent jail, a place known as Rikers Island. Wide awake in a nightmare, here it's like hell on earth. At night I hear screams, I toss and turn. People beat on the walls. You gotta be on your P's and Q's. There's no telling what can happen if you get caught slipping. Just last week on my walk to the shower, the correction officer damn near kicked in my ribcage for talking back, said, wipe the smile off your face. Every day the other prisoners' eyes grilled me, so I stand and fight. I was off to a corner minding my business when I was caught slipping, or sold to buy a pack of wolves, beaten and stomped until my eyeballs felt like they were about to pop out the socket. They caught it on camera, but I'm the one that's locked up in solitary confinement for trying to defend myself, losing my mind inside of the shoe, feeling like I'm going crazy, talking to myself. Nobody knows the pain that I feel, walking the four corners of my cell, hearing voices voices in my head, seeing imaginary friends. I cry myself to sleep, bang my head against the walls. I hear screams. At night, it's like hell on earth. I just want to go home. Why am I trapped all alone on this island? Thinking that today will be the day that they release me when I wake up until they tell me that my court date is postponed. It's been like that for the last 200 and something days straight in isolation. I was incarcerated for over 1,100 days until the prosecutor dropped the charges. I tried to pick up where I left off, but I can't get back the time that I lost. I tried. I got my GED and started college, but I'm traumatized deep down, having suicidal thoughts, talking to myself, walking the four corners of my mother's backyard. I can't take it much longer. The walls are closing in and I'm miserable. The voices in my head keep telling me to end my life. Where did they find him? Dead at 22, with an air conditioner cord tied around his neck. I sat and I cried as I read the story of Khalif in Time magazine and thought to myself, damn, what if that was me? And thank you for listening.
Wow. Thank you, Omar. Thank you so much for that. I don't even know how to describe it, you know, for those of us that had the opportunity. I know Elizabeth was on here a moment ago, had the opportunity to meet Khalif and Elizabeth, who knew him, and others on this call. Hearing that just, it still is heartbreaking. You know, it's still, all these years later, still very heartbreaking. But in the years that have passed, Khalif's story is still poignant. And because it is, and because people are still affected by what happened to him, I think that his work and his sharing of his story really helped us at BCC want to be there for more students like Khalif, and to also provide outlets and supports for them. So Omar, we appreciate you bringing us back and reminding us about Khalif's story. And I think that this is a good way for us to move forward into our program this afternoon to talk about social justice at BCC. As I mentioned, Khalif's story is one that really for a few of us kind of brought us together as we were talking about some efforts around keeping his legacy alive. And so in thinking about that, we brought together a number of individuals on our campus who are actively working on efforts around social justice in a number of different ways. So I'm going to introduce that panel. We have a few questions for each of them. And then after they've answered our questions, then we'll go to you in the chat and answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to introduce our panelists. First, we have Tiffany Dubanyard, who is a student life specialist in civic engagement. She also is involved with the Social Justice Network, Women Up, the Association for Latino Faculty and Staff, and Justice at BCC here at Bronx Community College. The next panelist is Jose Lopez, who is the college enrollment manager for the Future Now program, which is a program that Khalif Browder volunteered at while he was here on campus. Next, we have Mr. Clifford Marshall, who is the director of the Male Empowerment Network. For those of you that haven't met him, maybe because you're not on campus, you will get to know him and the rest of our panel today, and hopefully you'll be able to connect with them offline as well. And then finally, we have Associate Professor of Criminal Justice, Ms. Crystal Rodriguez, who also is involved with the Justice at BCC program. She is one of the co-founders and co-chairs of the program. And so we're bringing them all together today so we could talk a bit about the initiatives that I've mentioned and the work that they and their organizations are doing. So I'm going to jump right in and start with the first question. And so I ask each of you, tell us a little bit about the program that you're involved with or the social justice effort that you belong to here at Bronx Community College. And I'd like to start just going through the order that I have here with you, Jose. Tell us a little bit about Future Now and your work with the program.
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jose Lopez. I'm the college enrollment manager at the Future Now program. And the Future Now program is a program that started back in 1998, originally providing the classes to incarcerated individuals that were inside the facilities. Now we serve all justice impacted students in achieving their HSE diploma and then transitioning into the next step, which is either college or going to a trade school. We serve about hundreds of students each year and usually have about 200 to 300 HSE graduates a year and transition half of those students to college, annually. One of the best things about the program, in my opinion, is the Future Now is a family feeling program that students get when getting into the program. I believe every single staff member at the program is student-centered, and we understand what our students go through outside of school. We believe in second chances, third chances, and we never close the door on our students, no matter the situation. And we believe in growth and change for our students. And with the right guidance and support, I believe there's nothing that can stop our students. And I was a former Future Now student and graduated from the program, so I can attest to that firsthand. And being a staff member now allows me to make the students feel the same way I felt when I started the program.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Jose. Next, I'd like to go to Professor Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, everyone. So glad I get to go after Jose, because if it wasn't for Future Now, I don't think Justice at BCC would exist. So thank you, Jose. Just to give you a little bit of background, we're about 2 years old. We started off in 2019 as I think there was 3 or 4 of us, students, faculty, and staff, who wanted to figure out a way to honor Khalif. And thank you, Omar, for your poem again. It's really because of Khalif's experiences that we came together to say, well, what can we do at BCC? And so in 2021, earlier this year, we renamed our committee Justice at BCC because we really wanted to focus on justice impacted students and the community. Our goal is really to advance knowledge and awareness and advocate for the needs of justice impacted individuals at BCC and within the Bronx community. And just to give you guys some background, the way we define justice impacted is any student or individual or their immediate family who has been involved in the criminal legal system. That could be arrest, conviction, or incarceration. And so we have a number of goals coming up in the next few years, but we'll leave that for the last part of the presentation. But ultimately, our goal is really to create a welcoming and inclusive community at BCC, like Future Now has done, but for now, the entire college. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Rodriguez. Next, I'd like to go to Clifford Marshall, Director of Male Empowerment Network.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for inviting me. This is my second year in a row doing this. This is great. So the Male Empowerment Network, we are a part of a family called the Black Male Initiative through our community. We're one of 31 programs at BCC, and us along with our sister program, Future Now also has a BMI program. We've been doing this for over 15, 16 years now since it started. And our main focus is to recruit, retain, and graduate as many of our male students as possible. But of course, because we're in CUNY, we're very inclusive.
Then you should be able to answer here.
Just a reminder, I'm sorry, everyone, to just please keep yourself muted while our panelists are speaking. Thank you.
So yeah, but because we're in CUNY, everyone is included. We're inclusive, so we have had a lot of females who come through our program. We mainly focus on the males, and it's a great program. We've had a lot of students who fall into the same category of a Khalif Browder. I remember Khalif when he was at BCC, and I actually have a signature from the whole Future Now group with his name on this. That's probably one of the last signatures that he may have ever done. So, and we have a lot of individuals like Khalif Browder who come through our program, but our job is just to support them as much as we possibly can.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Ms. Tiffany Dubanyard.
Hello, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tiffany Dubon-Yard. I am a student life specialist focusing in civic engagement. And with that, I am a part of a lot. I'm here primarily as a representative for the Social Justice Network, but I do also work with the Association of Latino Faculty and Staff. I serve on the cabinet. I am a part of the advisory board for Women Up. And I am also a part of the executive board of Justice at BCC. The great thing about me being a part of all of these different groups is that I was connected with all these amazing, great individuals that do a lot of amazing work on campus. And back in June of 2020, the Office of Student Life, as we were starting to meet up to plan for the fall semester, everything that was happening within our community, surrounding social justice issues, we felt that we really needed to create a space, not only for collaborative efforts between faculty and staff and students, but also a space that people can feel that, okay, I can work with other like-minded individuals. I feel safe in this space because people will be responsible to accept and hear me. And hear the ideas that I am either working on or would like to start at Bronx Community College. And there were too many of us to be working in these individual silos at BCC. So the purpose of the Social Justice Network is for that. It's to have created a network on Bronx Community College's campus of like-minded, social justice-driven individuals who come together to create programming for not only the campus community, but our surrounding community in the Bronx and within CUNY as well. So that's where I'll leave it at.
Thank you so much. I'll let you continue first, Tiffany, with the next question, which is, what have been your program's greatest accomplishments in this past year? Given the fact that a lot happened in 2020, right? Summer of 2020 with social justice, the social justice movement taking off. There was a lot that happened at BCC in response to that. So starting with the Social Justice Network, as well as the other groups that you're a part of, tell us a little bit about what the greatest accomplishments were in this past year.
Well, I think just the creation of the group, I thought this might have been like a one-off, maybe one semester type of situation, but the drive that everyone has brought in to the work that the Social Justice Network is doing has really taken off to a level that I never really pictured. I just, like I said, where it is today is amazing because I didn't even think of that. I thought of a brainstorming session with all of my colleagues, and then we'll move forward from there. And forward did we move. We have served on CUNY level conferences, doing presentations. We've collaborated with other CUNY schools on conference presentations. Our membership has increased and included more faculty members that they actually said, I thought I was alone on campus in the work that I do or wanting to be more involved in social justice initiatives. And now that I know that this group and network actually exists, and we're not focused solely on one area. Social justice is very vague. So with that being said, what I am very proud of that's happening right now is the Social Justice Student Leadership Certificate Series, which is a program that between the Social Justice Network, Women Up, Justice at BCC, and the Association of Latino Faculty and Staff, we created a committee in which we created a curriculum of over 11 workshops that students who applied and was enrolled in this program can attend for the semester. They have to complete a minimum of 7 workshops. 5 are Common Core, and then the other 2 can be electives. And so we pretty much had an orientation session. Our closing ceremony is December 10th. We have 21 students enrolled. These are engaged students. They're constantly emailing me like, I'm running late for this, or can I please have the link to sign up for this? And I think what's going to be amazing is that these students, and I see a lot of them in here today, so I think that a lot of these students what we're looking to do, right, is to also then probably grow into like a peer mentorship program as well with these students that already graduated or went through the program, maybe get them involved in actual event planning, right? Or the creation of workshops and training. So I'm excited for those great big initiatives, and I just hope that with the network that it continues to amplify all of the work that faculty and staff are doing on this campus, and that this campus actually becomes like a beacon of social justice work, right? We're in the Bronx, it should be us. If not us, then who? So.
Fantastic, thank you so much. I'm going to go next to Professor Rodriguez. I know there's been a lot of great work that the Justice at BCC group has been doing this year. So tell us a little bit about that.
Just to talk a little bit about like the foundational work that we've been working on. So just to mention, Tiffany and Angela are also part of the e-board, and I see some members of our committee are also here. So really thankful. But we created a mission, a vision, and a history. Like we wrote it up so that we can share it with everyone. We have an executive board of 6 committed members of the community, and we have over 40 general members who participated in a training and who regularly are informed of our efforts and participate in our activities. We created working groups where we can have general members work to continue to create this committee, because our ultimate goal is to become an institute or a center at the college. We have an educational and professional development working group, fundraising group, a marketing and communications group, a recruitment and retention group, and then we also have a community connection group. And this past semester, we received an in-kind grant from College and Community Fellowship, which we're very thankful for. And with the mentorship of Lehman College, they notified us of this opportunity where we had 40 members of our college community, that includes faculty, staff, and students, participate in a virtual Thrive training. The Thrive training, it was 3 Fridays in September, about 2 to 3 hours each training. We learned about the challenges and barriers for justice impacted individuals. We learned about asset-based approach. It really transformed our thinking and how we can make an inclusive community. We learned about trauma-informed pedagogy and activities. We learned about laws and policies within New York and CUNY. And I'll add the link to the training just to inform you all. But they do the training also in businesses so that we can support justice impacted individuals at a larger scale. So that's just a few of the items that we have accomplished this year, and we're looking forward to doing so much more.
Thank you so much, Professor Rodriguez. And with the Thrive training, those faculty and staff and student members that were trained are now also trained to train other faculty and staff on campus, which is the next step of what they plan to do over the next year and then some. So next I'm going to go to Mr. Marshall. Tell us about some of the work of the Male Empowerment Network this year.
Yeah, so our biggest accomplishment for the year of 2021 was survival. You know, I think a lot of people take that for granted, but what has happened over the last 2.5 years has been devastating, especially to a lot of young people, and that the program was able to survive, and we was able to recruit, this year, even with the lack of student participation on campus, which was incredible. So what we did this year is that we actually created a street team. For those of you who are old enough to remember the 90s, where hip hop was in the streets and was handing out flyers and posters, we created a street team where we were out here on campus in front of Meister Hall. You would see us in front of Meister Hall, and we just grabbed those students that was walking around, devastated that there were not a lot of other students on campus, and they're just looking at their phones and they don't really have a place to go. And we just talk to them, and we try to tell them about the scholarships that's out there. And we try to engage them. We let them know we have a great space over here, and they can come here and hang out with us. And so we've had some pretty nice participation in our program, which is great. And it's just all about survival. I know my colleague Elizabeth is on this call, and we have the CUNY BMI calls, and we realize that everyone is struggling. Everyone is struggling just to keep their programs up and going and running. And we've done a pretty good job. We have 2 sets. We have our Zoom callers that we talk to on Mondays and Fridays, and those are the students that don't have classes on campus, so they tune into Zoom. And then we have those students who come in on campus on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they come into the space, and we hang out. And we've done about 3 events this year, and we actually did one with Mrs. Diallo, where we did a hybrid Zoom event. So we set up in Meister Lobby, and we had the TV there, and Mrs. Diallo was in Africa, and she was talking to the students about her scholarship. And then we had students that were here, we had students on Zoom. So we just try to come up with different ways of engaging students, and just trying to make sure that the program survives. We just try to have that consistency. We're not trying to be innovative and create something new, because we know what we've been doing for 16 years has worked. We just got to engage. And as my colleagues know, I'm here on campus in a freezing office, but I'm here. And the students are outside my door, and they're here. So so that was our biggest accomplishment. I feel good about that.
That's some dedication, Mr. Marshall, being in that office, but you're there for the students, and that's what's important. And finally, Mr. Lopez, tell us about some of the accomplishments of Future Now for this year.
I think many of our greatest accomplishments this year is just still being able to provide our students the services during the pandemic, whether it's online or in person. Like Mr. Marshall said, we're still here. And being one of the only programs who are sending students to take the GED here at Bronx Community College, and having the students get that courage to be able to pass the test if they're taking online classes. Having the ability to serve the students who are in places where they cannot leave the facility for classes, and seeing that joy when they get there, when they pass their GED exams. We still get that heartwarming feeling that we do miss in person. Once they complete that goal, also being able to keep them moving forward, by assisting the students with their next educational or vocational steps, by providing our pre-college workshops, assisting with their applications, helping them complete financial aid, and registering for spring 2022. And just being able to provide a space where no matter what's going on in the world, the pandemic, their situation, you still have people who are willing to support you and assist you with your future, and just guide you to the right direction and the right path. Like Mr. Marshall said, survival. We're still here no matter what.
And that's the most important thing, still being here. So we have one more question for us, and then after that, we're going to turn to the participants to see if there are any questions from the audience. So my question is, what do you anticipate social justice programming and outreach looking like at BCC in the coming years? What would you like to see, and what are you working on? And I will start, let's start with Future Now. Go back to you, Mr. Lopez.
Like Tiffany mentioned, I think just being the beacon and the heart and center for how justice impact the students, making sure they know if they need any help or they need a place to feel comfortable and not feel judged, they know BCC is the way to go. The Bronx has the highest crime rate, and most of the crimes are committed, when I speak to the students, because of too much free time or just not having the right support and people to remove them from those circumstances. So just being a place where our justice impact the students can call BCC home is, one thing I anticipate for the coming years.
Great, thank you so much. And same question for you, Crystal, Professor Rodriguez.
Yeah, no problem. So we have like a 5-year plan, but we're not going to go into all those details. We'll just share what we're planning to do in the next year. Next semester, we're really trying to host our annual reentry fair with a panel. And the idea behind this reentry fair is really to bring organizations from BCC and outside in the community to come to campus. It might be virtual, we'll see what happens. But in the past, it's been like a college fair where students and faculty can go from table to table and learn about these resources. And so the idea is these panelists or these individual organizations that come to the fair will talk about how they support justice impacted individuals within their organization. So we're excited to have that next semester. We couldn't have it this semester, but we're going to have it next semester. We're also working with Lehman College and their reentry committee in hopes to, it's three-folded goals. One is to have a common read between Lehman College and BCC. We've had about 10 colleagues at BCC sign up, about 5 faculty and 5 staff, to read this book, and it's focused on justice impacted individuals, and then to have a panel discussion about it or workshops that is hosted by Humanities New York. The second is to create a podcast of justice-involved individuals, their experiences and their challenges, and to really share their voices. And then the third is to have a performance, which will be hosted by Lehman. It'll be virtual, but it'll be an art performance that exposes some of the challenges and experiences of justice-impacted individuals. Long-term, like I mentioned before, we really want to turn this Justice at BCC committee into an institute or into a center. Right now, it's a committee. The ways in which we're trying to outreach, thankfully, we have Tiffany, who is everywhere and like giving 100% to everything. She created a website for Justice at BCC, which we hope to launch next semester. And on that website, we hope to have like a calendar of events so that we can all be informed and share the activities. Our goal is to really get more students involved. We have about 40 faculty and staff on this committee, but we really want student voices. So I'll put in the chat my email in case anybody is interested in joining. We're also open and welcome to have partners of BCC, alumni, anyone joining on this committee. And the goal is for the next semester, we already have executive board meetings once a month, but to have 1 to 2 general board meetings where all members come and participate in addition to the activities.
Excellent, thank you so much. Mr. Marshall, goals for the next, well, not next year, but what do you anticipate social justice programming looking like for your area in the coming years?
Well, first, let me just start by giving kudos to our star here. I think Angela and Elizabeth can really appreciate that we have a star in Tiffany Dubon-Yard. She, I've been watching her grow. She grew that social justice network, and she really made it relevant over the pandemic, which was incredible that she made it relevant over the pandemic. So I just wanted to shout out to her. And it sounds like Professor Rodriguez has something that's going to really build. Excuse me for a second. This is Eugene Adams, for those of you who don't know. Gene, I'm right in the middle of a segment. I'll call you back. Okay? Yeah, I'm in my office. Okay. Sorry about that. For those of you who know Eugene Adams, when he calls, you must pick up. He's like the president. So social justice, I just want to say that, because of someone like Tiffany, who has really brought a lot of focus to social justice, a lot of activities has going on. And, the Male Empowerment Network is right there in the middle of all of these activities. A lot of our students, we have students who's done very well. We have 4.0 students, and we have students who were incarcerated and they came to school, and our job is to help them stay here and to do whatever we can for them. So, I just see that BCC is really building a strong advocate for social justice here. And with Professor Rodriguez doing what she's doing, and with Tiffany being, the go-to person, I can't see why our school in the Bronx, at least in the Bronx, will be #1 school to kind of, do all these social justice efforts. I mean, the stuff that Tiffany has done over the last 2 years, just with the network, is just incredible. And she's getting the support from people like, myself and Angela and Professor Rodriguez. And as long as we support her, I think this thing is going to get big. And we're just going to participate with them, whatever they want us to do. We're here to participate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marshall. And then that leaves, again, last but not least, Ms. Dubon-Yard. Tell us about what you see and what you anticipate social justice programming and outreach looking like at BCC over the coming years. And I'll add to that for you, what do you see the role of the organizations that we're involved with on campus? So the Social Justice Network, Professor Rodriguez already talked about Justice at BCC, but Women Up, the Association for Latino Faculty and Staff. What do you see as our role, and what do you think that this is going to look like in the coming years?
Well, being that I see we have at least one cabinet member in our audience, I'm gonna say that I'm looking for our administrators, upper admins to really take the lead in creating a social justice institute or center at Bronx Community College, supporting all of these different groups and organizations that do work surrounding that, because it really doesn't make any type of sense that you have all these different pockets spread out across campus doing the work when we can do so much more and do it better if we're all centralized. So I'm going to start off by saying that I definitely see and hope and wish, and I'm yelling out there, that our leadership at Bronx Community College does exactly that and lead this initiative, support those that are doing the work on the ground floor, and really just let us spearhead this, right? When people think of social justice or even the justice impacted within CUNY, a lot of times they just go to John Jay because that's what they're focused on because of their curriculum, right? But with us, it really should be more so, this is our focus because this is the people that we care for. These are the people that we're here to support and back up and uplift and empower at the same time. So once again, I charge our leadership at BCC to do just that when it comes to social justice. But within these separate groups, right, I do see us, one, being louder and more present within our marketing, right? I feel like we do a lot of great work, but within the campus itself, the college community, we need to do better when it comes to our communications and marketing within these groups. We really need to highlight it. It shouldn't just be something that comes from the president's office. So I hope that we look and we support all of these different groups like Social Justice Network, Justice at BCC Association, Male Empowerment Network, all of these different areas that are doing the work, because that's exactly what needs to be done. We need to have our campus amplifying our own work. It can't just be us, because we're doing that already. And look at how great the work has been that we're at this platform now and we're doing this event now, right? And we're saying, we're telling people, listen, now we need funding because none of this happens for free. People are putting in overtime, right? So this is, I think that also making sure that we are engaging the community to want to invest in us and invest in the work that's being done at BCC would be an even better opportunity for us to grow and be that staple that we talked about within social justice work. Woman Up, we are looking for, we do have student internships, right, within Women Up. So we are looking to definitely not only increase, but also just enhance that, that student internship program with the Social Justice Network and the rest of the groups within the Social Justice Student Leadership Certificate Series. Like I said earlier, we're looking for that to not only continue, it'll happen only once a semester because it can become overwhelming, but we're looking for maybe even utilizing the spring semester where we can work with those that completed their programming in the fall to then help us create the programming for next fall, for example. So that can be that's a great opportunity that I would love to see us grow. And as I said, come on, y'all, bring in the funding because we need the money to build and do the work that we're doing, okay? And I'm nothing special without, honestly, I couldn't do anything that I do without the work and the backup and support of my colleagues and the rest of the faculty and staff on campus, honestly. Giving a quick shout out to Angela, of course, Crystal, Elizabeth, but also some people that may not be in here like Monique, Mara Lazda, Gloria Rodriguez, Ivana Razo, so many more people that we work with. ASAP is a great organization that we collaborate with as well. There's so many different, and I cannot wait for our website to launch. We have, where, as Crystal said, I'm working on a social justice civic engagement landing page. And on this landing page, that's where you will find Justice at BCC's page, Social Justice Network page, Future Now page, all of the different organizations, Male Empowerment Network, Women Up, Association of Latino Faculty and Staff, they're all will be listed there with their purpose and links to their direct page, just so we can gain some traction online. Right now, we really need to build on this online community because we are reaching farther than ever, and we can't lose this just because we're starting to go back to what was quote unquote normal. I really want it to become almost like a blend of both, and for us to continue doing the work on both ends, in person and virtually. So we definitely need that online presence going, and by spring semester, it'll be there. That's all.
Excellent, 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 Tiffany. I will say that I think that even though we feel like we're kind of in the beginning stages and there's a lot of work that has been done, there has been some really good administrative support. I think starting with Thrive, you know, getting our cabinet and our president to sign off on the fact that we see training faculty and staff on how to welcome and support our impacted, criminal justice impacted students, and seeing that as a priority and making that happen was a definite start for us. And we've all secretly been talking for the last couple of years about developing this Center for Social Justice and really making the case that our students and our community deserve it. I don't think that there's anyone in our administration that has pushed back on that. So I think that we're definitely heading in the right direction. We're definitely going to see more of that in the future, and having more of the campus involved in our efforts is going to be key. So that said, we have a few minutes left, and I want to turn this time over to those of you that are now participants to ask any questions that you have. So you can either do one of two things. You can either, I'm going to open up my gallery view here. You can either open up by raising your hand using the reaction button to raise your hand, or you can put a question in the chat. Either would be fine. If you raise your hand, then I could recognize you so you can unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can put your question in the chat. But this is a great opportunity to ask any of our panelists anything about the work that they are doing, any of the programs that we're doing, or just to make a comment about social justice at BCC. If you have been a student, a participant, an alum who's been involved at the campus and wants to tell a little story or, you know, recognize some of the work, that would be great to hear as well. So I'm opening the floor to you now. I'm looking at the chat, so forgive me. Also, I'm going to call your attention to the chat where a number of our panelists have included email addresses as well. So if you wanted to be involved with any of the programs that they have mentioned, just please refer back to the chat. So someone asked, Justice at BCC, do you have social media? Just out of curiosity. Professor Rodriguez, would you like to answer that?
So we don't currently have social media, but it could be on our goals list. And I will ask Tiffany if she'd be willing as marketing and communication to create a social media. But I definitely think, Christian, that that's a great idea because now students, everything is social media. So I appreciate it.
Great. I'm also including in the chat, Mr. Lawrence's YouTube page. You've included your email address, but I'm also putting your YouTube page so that you can see more of his work there. Any additional questions, comments? Oh, I see you, Miss Emmers. I'm not going to talk about who you are, but you can unmute yourself.
Peace, everybody. Hi, BCC family.
Hello.
All right, just briefly, I was gonna be quiet because you know I get to talk, and I was just trying to give people some space. Woo! Hi, for everyone everyone in the chat who doesn't know me, I'm an alumni, and I'm the first recipient of the Khalif Browder Memorial Scholarship. There are a few things, like just hearing you talk and just being on my journey, right? I already feel the crying is coming on. You already know. That's my MO. But just doing this process and me just going through the healing process, me looking at the shootings, the gun violence, just a lot of things. And I've been like, yo, what is that? What is that? Like, I just been kind of questioning. And so I actually found something called somatic experiencing. And so even as it relates to the trauma that Khalif went through, I just want to put this on your radar. There's this man named Resma. He wrote this book called My Grandmother's Hands, and it sort of explains how trauma gets embedded into your DNA and it changes your nervous system, right? And a lot of times when we go to therapy and regular mental health, it doesn't eradicate it, right? And we know that trauma also can impact your behavior and how you relate to people and so on and so forth. But there is proof that it changes the nervous system, and there is different methods to addressing this. I want to put this on your radar because that's part of social justice, that's part of healing. And I know that, you know, we have this mental health component in Love Hall. I know you'll call it Low Hall, but I named it Love Hall because that's where all the love is, in that building when you need the little bit of extra help. I think that the committee should look at mental health services. It should look at getting some more funding, and maybe getting some people to help students that look like the students, right? And I'm not saying that, all right, they did a help, but we need some, you know, like, not, because most of them are like all white women. And just being straight up, sometimes, you know, we feel more comfortable, people of color feel more comfortable talking to people who may understand the cultural challenges. And there's also a stigma, and maybe students will be more prone to go get those services if people look like them. I also want to respond to, I heard that something's going on in Lehman College as far as a performance. I think that the music department, the art department, everybody should be involved, because artivism is a real important tool to getting people engaged. And as a community liaison of an art gallery, I've been actually exploring social justice through art. I just was in Washington at the National Monument doing an exhibit on gun violence. But I just want to encourage the committee to look at mental health, look at art, look at music, and look at, you know, ways to engage the community. And I'm gonna talk to Tiffany to kind of just, you know, talk to her. But the guy name is Resma. The book is My Grandmother's Hands, and then you will begin to you know, find all the other stuff. It's called somatic experiencing, because the body keeps the score.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Beverly. First of all, thank you so much for being here today. It is always an absolute pleasure to have you here. We miss you on campus. And, you know, when we sent this invitation out to Beverly, first of all, she never says no to us. She's always here. And her presence, especially for students that are now following behind her footsteps, right? It just makes such a big difference. And for those of us that have watched her on her journey, not just going through BCC and that was a huge accomplishment, but then going on to NYU and then going on to even greater things. I dropped, hope you don't mind, in the chat, Beverly, the link that you sent me about the project that you're working on now. That was in Washington, D.C. So hopefully you all will get a chance to look at it. The work that she's doing is being recognized on a national level. I'll leave it at that. So yes,
one thing, because Omar, is it Omar? Who said
Yes.
the poem at the beginning?
Yes, Omar Lawrence, yep.
So I know I'm gonna hold your hostage just for a minute, but I wrote an elegy for Vanita.
Oh my goodness.
It's too much right now? All right, I'll share it in the email. I'm not going to even say it, but okay.
Well, those of us that knew Vanita Browder, It's very emotional. It's very emotional. So yeah, I would like to see that. I would definitely like to see that. But before we get into too deep, is there anybody else that has any questions? Either that you would like, you can either raise your hand or drop it in the chat. Happy to acknowledge anybody else that has anything else that they'd like to share or any questions they'd like to ask.
Angela?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me? I was having issues with the audio, but
Okay.
Michelle,
Okay.
I'm in the office. So switching from home to the office, you know how that goes. But
Yeah.
thank you. I just want to say that is Beverly, Christian, Jose. These are the reasons why we need programs like social justice in at the front. I mean, this book that you just shared, Beverly, I Googled it right away. I'm buying it. But just to show the power of information and how much you guys have to bring to the table. There's no words that we can put in it. We need to support it. You know, we need to support it in any way we can and understand that you guys are the solution, you know? So you need to be in leadership roles. You understand better than anybody. There's so much work to be done. Right now, we have 450 young men incarcerated in Rikers under inhumane conditions. You know, they're dying, and we are sitting at, you know, in our offices and talking about social justice, but yet these things are happening right next to us, you know? So there are a lot of opportunities for us to help and help change things a little bit, you know? So I just want to thank Tiffany, Angela, Crystal, and all of you for making social justice relevant and present, you know, because it's easy to get caught up in all the other things that are going on. And thank you so much, Jose. Thank you for being part of Future Now, our alumni, and for everything you're doing for all the other students that are coming behind you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Clifford. You still here? Yes, I see. Hi. Sorry, guys. Somebody walked in my office. I gotta go.
Thank you, Elizabeth. For those that don't know, I don't know if she mentioned it, Elizabeth is the director of Future Now, and is really just an extraordinary human being. It's because of the work of Future Now that so many of us and all of these different variations of social justice groups that we have on campus, that we're even able to do the work that we're doing. So we really are proud of that program and the work that they've done and continue to do. So Elizabeth, thank you and your team so much for everything that you do and for allowing us to utilize you and your brain when we need to get the work done that we have to. So we are 2 minutes away from ending our this program today. I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of it. Our team in the development office, we're all here. I'm just going to recognize them really quickly. There's Robert Whalen, who is the Director of Alumni Relations. We have Dijon Parker, where are you on my screen? Who is she's our internal Zoom guru, but she's also our liaison who manages all of our fundraising, our database. And if you're making a gift, she sees it and she will acknowledge it. So, and if you're also having a problem giving a gift today, she's the person that will be in touch with you. And then of course, where's Latoya? I saw her a second. Latoya Davis, who if you have been a scholarship recipient at BCC, she is a person that will be in touch with you. She stays true to being on top of you to make sure that you are on top of your scholarship. And we appreciate her for that. But also all of the team here, those faculty and staff members that are here today on the call, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for doing what you do for our students every single day. We appreciate your efforts and we appreciate you being here today during Giving Tuesday. You know that what we do is a labor of love for our students. We are all determined to see them grow. We are all determined to see them graduate, and we are determined to see them move on in their lives in the way in which not only helps them, but to help their families as well. We know that when our students graduate, it changes, as Beverly said, the trajectory of their lives, but not just their own life, but that of their family as well, their children, their parents, their entire household. And so that's what we're here to do today and every single day. So if you have an opportunity, if you can, please contribute to our Giving Tuesday effort today. This is one of our biggest opportunities of the year for us to help our students, especially those that are coming back in the spring. We want to make sure that they have scholarship support and all the resources that they need. For the Social Justice Fund, which is brand new this year, we're going to be utilizing these funds to help any of the programming that needs to be supported in the coming year as well. So we hope that you can help us with that effort as well. Okay? All right, well, thank you so much again. We appreciate you and happy Giving Tuesday. And we look forward to seeing you all again. We are recording this, so we look out for the link. We'll send it to everybody who attended today as well. All right? Thank you so much. You have a good day. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
I just want to bring everyone's attention to, in the chat, I just did a recap of all the information that was shared today, all the email addresses for Tiffany Dubon, Crystal Rodriguez, Clifford Marshall, and Jose Lopez. So everyone's information is in the chat, and there's information about the Thrive training. I also just added the link to our GiveGap page so that anyone who is interested in donating, you can donate to our effort today. We have 4 donation areas that you can donate to, of course, including social justice. And this was an amazing panel. Thank you for attending our 2nd annual conversation on social justice, and we hope to see you next year. Bye, everyone.